Going live. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back, everyone, to the second episode of the Campaign Roundtable. This is the Heart of the Swarm coverage, part 2. I am Garrett Weinzierl.
I'm Kyle Ferguson.
And I'm Mike Doherty.
And this is the cast where we dive into the depths that is the story of video games. So, as you heard, we are still in the middle of covering Heart of the Swarm. So, guys, I'm sure at this point, the three of us, given our history with Blizzard titles, have probably beaten the hell out of this game. But that's not what the show is about.
Yeah.
This show is about taking it in bite-sized chunks and discussing a specific part of the game and pretending like we don't know how it ends.
Yeah, I mean, this will be harder as we get into games like, if we even do such a thing as large as Skyrim, where it's like, where do we divide this? But luckily, Heart of the Swarm is divided up by planets. So that's what we've done here.
Yeah, more or less. Last week we left off with the final mission of Kaldir, and that's exactly where we're going to be starting today with the mission Enemy Within.
Yeah.
The previous mission last week, the Zerg have captured Lysara, a female Protoss, and she has now been grafted to the wall beside, oh crap, who's Tendril Arms? What's her name again? I've already forgotten the names of people because I'm bad with names.
Isha,
there it is. I knew it was something that sounded almost like a normal name, but then you look at it spelt and it's just like, huh? What is this?
Yeah, they threw a Z in there for good Zerg measure. You gotta wonder, what does the inside of a Leviathan smell like? It can't be pretty.
That's why Isha doesn't have a nose.
That's true, she doesn't. But they communicate psychically, so maybe they have psychic smells.
What does nose...
That would suck.
What do noses have to do with communicating, Kyle?
Well, because they don't talk either. They don't have mouths.
There you go. That would have been relevant.
So we don't know their digestive or auditory.
Well, we know that like the Zerg are 50% butthole, so we have a pretty good idea of what their digestive system is.
But I mean, they could have, they could eat grass for a living, and we just don't know because they eat with their feet. So
doesn't it
they
say
could be
somewhere
smelling.
About to say, doesn't it say somewhere in the lore that Protoss are closer to plants in the way that they function?
That makes sense.
Again, I'm not a hardcore lore nut by any stretch, but I'm pretty sure I remember reading that somewhere, one of the Blizzard short stories or something. Feel free to write in and tell us if we're absolutely wrong.
Yeah, but if we were all hardcore lore nuts here, the show would be Correct a Nerd, not Campaign Roundtable.
Very true.
I smell another podcast.
No, I know you don't, because that doesn't sound fun at all.
It's too much work being right all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyways, let's get into this, man. So the mission is Enemy Within. Kyle, you said last week, you put yourself on display for the world to see, and you said that this is your favorite mission in the entire campaign. Why so?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's surprising. And, you go through the campaigns of these with multiplayer in mind going, man, I wish I had instant teleporting, burrowing swarm hosts. Man, I wish I had Leapa Banelings. Like, a queen that generates Hydralisk out her butt in seconds is the kind of thing you want as a hero unit. Give Terran back their Thor. Let's keep Vortex on the frickin' mothership because I want this queen.
Yeah, agreed. I'm with you. And honestly, I was just having sick nerd chills the entire time because finally, okay, I've got a queen alien, which immediately makes me think of aliens, yet the entire time...
From the very get-go.
Well, yeah, but the entire time, my entire StarCraft life that I've been controlling a queen, whether it be in when they pretty much existed in Brood War and how they've existed so far in Wings of Liberty and now in the Heart of the Swarm, they have never laid eggs. They've injected larvae, but they've never actually laid eggs. And finally, I get a super badass queen that lays eggs and just craps out deadly, scary, horrifying aliens. So, I don't know. I was having a good time.
Yeah, like as the second you get on the ship and the thing busts out of her and then it has to like go hide around in steam vents and go find a safe place in the ventilation to like spawn into a bigger thing. It's exactly like an Aliens movie. It's like the start of Aliens 3 right here. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and working with the whole, you can't use Protoss material. So launching this thing into the Protoss and then lowering your psychic barrier so they knew, oh my goodness, there's a lone Protoss. We need to save her and teleport her up. That's how you get on board.
It was so delightfully malicious.
Yeah. Well, and Kerrigan made this herself. And depending on your playthrough, she's not yet, fully recovered her powers. So this is a damn powerful thing for her to make. And,
actually, not depending on your playthrough. There's no way you have to play this before we get to Xeris, which is what you're alluding to.
Really? What if you go to Char first?
Nope, no. I'm going to a second playthrough, and I haven't done Kaldir yet. I've gone to...
see, I only thought Zeratul showed up after Kaldir. I apologize.
Nope. Just after whatever the first planet you beat. So there's
I thought
ways you can do this order.
I thought it was Kaldir because there were Protoss on Kaldir. But never mind. I forgot. He's the kind of the bastard child of the Protoss anyway. He's not really tied to anyone. I'm not trying to be funny. That's true. He's the rejected Protoss.
Pretty much saving all their asses, even though they don't want him.
Exactly. You dark energy.
Well, I mean, he's wearing like a 6-foot-long dirty diaper on his face. I wouldn't want to talk to him much either.
That is all the Dark Templar wear that, though, not just him.
Yeah, and his nasty foot breath.
How do you have breath when you don't breathe? Tell me that, Kyle.
Because until someone emails in, I will assume Protoss eat out of their feet.
All right, fair enough. Anyways, let's get back to the point you were making, Kyle, because that is an interesting bit of lore that the Protoss cannot be infested by Zerg.
Yeah.
But as Kerrigan points out, they can be a host to a larva, essentially. So Kerrigan basically bio-created this little special larva that she just jams inside Lysara's gut. And then, like you said, it's like, hey, Protoss, she's right here. Beam her up. And they're just like, oh, cool. We'll take her. Apparently, they didn't see where she was or think, this seems convenient. Because that would have been a red flag. Like, there's a Protoss on Kerrigan's Leviathan, and all of a sudden we can see her.
I mean, it may be kind of an emergency signal because we know that Zealots, as they die, get teleported back and then shoved into a Stalker or a Dragoon or something.
That's actually really.
It may be that.
Sorry, that's a good point.
Yeah, it may have something to do with her parent.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that actually makes very good sense. Now, Mike, in case you're wondering, when you kill a Protoss and they disappear, they're being warped back to Ire. Or somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. Gotcha. So, anyways, much like all of the other missions on Kaldir, the entire reason we're attacking the Protoss here is so that they cannot warn the Golden Armada that Kerrigan has returned, which is why the Protoss must die. Kill them all.
Yep. For some reason, the Protoss have an obsession with collecting animals recently from Kaldir and other nearby planets, filling the ship with delicious biomass.
Yeah, so we've got... The Queen would like to say something about the biomass.
I must have that biomass.
Yes, you must. There's some lovely
that mass.
Oh, you delightful troll. Yeah, so it's such a fun level. It's hard because there's not a whole lot of story to talk about, but I want to get hung up talking about the level because it's so brilliantly designed. You're just scurrying along, and I'm going to infest this and infest that, and you get in the Ursidon, and you control it and kill the crap out of everything. And the swarm mentality was so great on this level.
Yeah,
the kind of growing and evolution and all that jazz.
Well, and let's not forget the most exciting part. Well, first off, that she got so big she could no longer fit in the vents, which was kind of amusing. But you end up taking out this entire ship, taking out every escape pod that may have warned the Golden Armada, and Kerrigan hung up on her. My queen? You there? Well, I guess you said destroy all Protoss when we last talked, so that's what I'm going to do. See you later. And we'd never hear about this queen again in Heart of the Swarm.
That's because we're going to have a reason to fight the Zerg in Legacy of the Void.
Exactly.
Yeah. But, I mean, she's kind of like an uber queen if she can just... Well, you already saw that she's huge. And I think she was even more evolved looking than like Zagatha or any other queens that you encounter in this expansion.
Yeah,
just
she
seemed to have-
was, but you remember, she was hand created by Kerrigan.
Yeah.
Handcrafted.
Seems interesting that Kerrigan would just be like, okay, see ya. And not just like, I'm going to drive by and just kind of pick you up.
Yeah, they don't do
we're bros.
they don't do a wonderful job of explaining why that is. I mean, I guess you can just
But
chalk it up to Kerrigan's mind is elsewhere.
Yeah, she's busy. I mean, later on in the game, we have more instances like this, but none are personalized onto a single queen. And I can only imagine, if things go well in Heart of the Swarm, and we get into Legacy of the Void, where we are controlling the Protoss, Kerrigan at some point showing up, hey, I'm the prophecy, savior, and oh, you're the savior. Oh, the one that just sent us the huge armada ship full of Zerg to destroy all Protoss. Well, thank goodness you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a device, I think, being set up for the next game. I'll be really surprised if it just ends up going the way there's just like no more mention of it at all. So anyways, after this we get after you finish this mission, or technically I guess as we found out, if you did Char first, whatever your first planet is that you go to, you'll get this cutscene entitled Birth World, which basically we see Zeratul for the first time in Heart of the Swarm. He sneaks aboard Kerrigan's ship. He's still flying around in that really sharp looking ship from that we saw in the Wings of Liberty mini Protoss campaign.
Yeah, it's Void Cruiser, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And Kerrigan sitting there like James Bond style, stroking her Zergling.
Yeah, and then well, I guess a Dragon Ball Z style fight breaks out between Kerrigan and Zeratul, and well, Zeratul has this to say about it.
What do you want?
Believe. Kerrigan, I have been to the beginning. Behold, Xeras, birthplace of the Zerg.
Yeah, man, Xeras.
So, James Rayner gets a communicator. Kerrigan gets a smack to the face.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, she was trying to kill him. I mean, I'm sure
True.
had she talked to him like an adult, like a civilized human being, that he would have just done like we see in every science fiction. I've been watching Doctor Who. They even do that in that series where they just hand gently on your head. All right, I'm going to show you something. But instead, they were in the middle of a brawl, so he's just kind of like, take it.
It was a cool display of his own power and fortitude that he took all those hits, because he just stood there. And there were times he could have fought back, but he took it to show that he was coming in peace before basketball palming her head.
Yeah, indeed. But damn, those Xeras look cool.
Yeah, that intro video was really cool, and it was interesting that the surrounding foliage and stuff looked kind of like it would have been in-game cinema. Like, it wasn't incredibly high poly, but it did the job very well for these really awesome looking models just running through there and killing the crap out of each other in that cinema.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We were talking last week about how some are pre-rendered, some are not, even though they use in-game models, and that was one of the pre-rendered ones. I mean, you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
But
I'm actually totally for this. Like, at first I was like, man, I got this beefy system, I should be able to do any of these things, but there's always some kind of little video glitch that comes in there that kind of just is like, meh.
Well, and
and people with less bulky systems would still want to be able to watch these things in their full awesomeness.
Right. Well, plus when you go pre-rendered, you can throw it into After Effects or something too, and you're not limited by what your engine can do. So
Right.
and you can tell they've got fog effects and stuff in there that probably are not part of the engine. So it's
Well, this
good.
is a big scene for lore's sake, because we've heard in the past that the Zerg were some sort of worm or something in the past. That wasn't what they currently are, and they have been weaponized by the Zelnaga.
Yeah,
We never saw what that worm was, or in this case, how damn fast that evolution takes place on the original Zerg.
yeah. This is like Zeratul really kind of throws down the gauntlet for Kerrigan here. It's just like, listen, like, you are on this journey for a reason, and here is that reason. You need to go find the original Zerg and assimilate them, essentially.
Well, and he's playing to a lot of her faults. I mean, they are not friends, as he says there. I mean, it was always friend Raynor, but here it's just Kerrigan. He might as well saying "screw you, Kerrigan" at the beginning of every sentence.
Listen,
And
a-hole.
when you get to Xeris and you start talking to him, he's like, "Listen, I want you to do this, but you want this too. Do you want your damn revenge? Good, because you're going to need to power up."
Yeah, he's an awesome salesman because, I mean, he's selling her stuff that she's kind of like, I don't know if I like this. And he's just like, hey, you know who else doesn't like this? Everybody else. Ha 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 ha, do it. And she's like, yeah.
I don't want to, sir. Do it.
Because she's still, even though she has reunited with the Zerg, she's on her Leviathan with her old advisors and whatnot, she's still, at this point, trepidatious of how much back into it she wants to get, because she's constantly going, if you do all the little in-between cutscenes with Abathur and whatnot, she's always asking him, like, how much did you torture humans? Did I ever give you humans to experiment on? Yada, yada, yada. And she can tell she doesn't want to lose her humanity like she did when she became the Queen of Blades. So at this point in the story, she's still, she's walking on a tightrope. She's like, I don't know that I want to go back down this road again. And after the death of Jim Raynor, that sends her out on this thing. And then I think Zeratul kind of showing her, like, listen, this is how it has to be, is just that final push. She's like, okay, I am all in. I cannot deviate from this path.
Yeah. See, now, the flow
Go
of
for it.
that logic is a little changed depending on which planet you go to. Like, when I first played this, I did Char, at which point she's first, getting back. She's crushing, like, the Dominion and everything at the... Well, we haven't even gone into Char yet, but basically she seems to be holding back there. At that point, I then went and I did the Xeris missions, and then I did the Caldeir missions. Now, for that one, like the Xeris mission, she's already gone like full hog. So when you see her go to Caldeir and completely just F in the A, like all those Protoss, and do that horrible stuff to the chick and go all aliens and stuff, it seems a little bit more natural because it's just like she's ramping up her, Biacho meter. Like she's really going.
Yeah,
Here it's a little hot and cold.
This is a discussion I'd almost like to have after Char.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what you're bringing up. I just don't want to spoil Char for next week or anything else we haven't talked about yet. But I definitely do want to come back to this and kind of tackle it. Like, what do the three of us think the proper order is for the first three options they give you? Because after that, yes, you have options, but I think the beginning three, like Mike, the point you're bringing up, I think the order in which you play them makes a huge difference as opposed to any of the other options later on in the game.
Yeah.
But you're saying you're on Xeris,
call
she's
times
a
on that, and how many planets on the field? Gonna have to reset.
Oh, whatever. But sorry, Kyle, you were saying?
Oh, I was trying to encourage Mike to his point about Xeris, very hot and cold.
Well, but as we're going through it in this thing, it was very like hot and cold of just like, wow, do I really want to, go full hog into this? Be like, well, you just got done murdering everybody on Caldeir. Man up. You pretty much already stepped over the line. You've done some really horrible stuff to some Protoss who are just down there fiddly farting with animals.
Yeah, I don't
Collecting
know,
that
because
biomass.
I did Caldeir first, then I did Char, then I did Xeris, and it never, because I didn't know any better. I didn't know what was ahead of me. Caldeir didn't strike me as odd, just because in my mind she just wants revenge. She wants to avenge Raynor's death, and she wants to get her own personal revenge that she's always wanted against Manx, and no high and mighty religious zealotry from the Protoss is going to get in her way.
Right. It was just like, she probably could have just been like, oh, dang, there's a bunch of Protoss here. I better go. And that would have been that. Instead, she's just like, oh, dang, there's a bunch of Protoss here. I guess I'll have to murder every single one horribly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I said, it definitely depends on how you play the game. But
Well,
hey,
we have wait, what?
no, continue.
Okay. Well, we have Zeratul. He's trying to convince her, playing to that. Do you want revenge? Good. Then you need to go out there and wake up the oldest badass guy you can find. Someone old enough that before the Overmind was made, so you can learn about the original, the true Zerg. And during this conversation, we learned a bit about the fate of Zeratul coming up.
Yeah, yeah. So they refer to this as the Ancient, this creature, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, here is the quote about the fate of Zeratul.
The Zelnaga wish you restored as the leader of the swarm.
You know I don't believe in your mad prophecies.
Your belief is not required. I act for the greater good, though it earns me the hatred of my own people.
Spare me your self-pity, Zeratul. Everyone has to make peace with their own choices.
I made my peace long ago. When we are done here, I will return to my people and accept their judgment.
So he is. It's not sounding like he is long for this world.
No, but he's also been running around committing blasphemy for the past 3 years.
True. You know, it doesn't have much to do with the story, and I know he's not the same voice actor, but I was catching some major Optimus Prime off that scene. Like his voice and his cadence and mannerisms and everything very Optimus Prime-y.
Yeah,
Now,
but
Kerrigan,
honestly,
roll out.
Yeah.
honestly, Zeratul.
Do you want to destroy Megatron?
Well, when you think about it, the archetype's about the same. Zeratul is kind of the purest character in all of StarCraft lore. He is completely selfless. He really doesn't have much of a personal agenda. He's just, listen, my brain's crazy. It shows me the future, and we need to shape up and not die.
Did he have any missions where he might have just had to murder an entire planet of somebody just because they were in his way at some point in any previous expansion?
It's their relationship that makes me really want to replay StarCraft 1 and 2. It's Brood War, but it's the graphics that make me stop.
Yeah, it's rough. And plus, you could just read. I mean, at that point.
Yeah.
Yep.
The novelization.
But yeah, from the beginning of StarCraft 2, anyways, Zeratul is very much filling the role of, the infallible hero.
Well, and it sounds like we're going to have a dead Zeratul come Legacy of the Void.
Or at least, well, yeah. I don't know. He's definitely, I don't know.
Because this conversation ends and he says, "You will not see me again" to Kerrigan. Whether we're going to have other people see him, but he knows that he is not going to be around for the final fight. And while it would be really cool to be controlling Zeratul into Legacy of the Void, I think we're going to have a whole host of new characters that are going to believe him, not believe him, and take us to that final point.
True. Or
Because if he's standing there, he's just going, "I told you so. See, there he is. There's the guy. I said they'd be back." No one listens.
Yeah, but like he only said that she wouldn't see him. I mean, if you wanted to be really sneaky about that, it just means that he's standing behind her the entire time. She's like looking over here, and he moves a little bit. She's looking over there, he moves a little bit.
He is also a
What's
Dark
the
Templar.
matter? And Zeratul, I told her she wouldn't see me again. I gotta go, guys.
Yeah.
And also, of course, he's invisible all the time. If you have ever used a Dark Templar.
There you go. So you won't see me at all, ever, but you might smell me.
Yeah, at the very least, there's going to be some serious political ramifications going on with Zeratul at the beginning of Legacy of the Void. I could see half of that game being like Zeratul on the run, or like you're kind of playing on the outskirts like a rogue Protoss. Should be
that would be interesting because there really, besides Zeratul, there is no real Protoss protagonist.
Well, we met some in Wings of Liberty that we have no idea who they are. There's some dude in a fancy phoenix. There's a bunch of guys calling us up, High Templars.
Oh yeah, and there's I can't remember the female High Executor.
Yeah, so
but
we do have some characters, and it looks like we're gonna have some heroes. But
And
I would certainly like to see some stuff.
Tassadar did make a cryptic return in Wings of Liberty.
That's true, as a ghost or
A ghost
Obi-Wan
out of-
ended up as
Yeah, out of the husk of the Overmind, which makes you wonder, is it Tassadar or is it the Overmind? So,
well, it was where he died, so I guess that makes sense. Either way, they'll all be around for the Yub Nub song at the end.
Yeah. Anyways, so we're taking to the planet Zerus. Zerus is the planet is very Avatar-esque, the movie, not the anime, or the terrible M. Night Shyamalan film. It's this crazy jungle world. You got all these insane-looking animals running around, which are called the Primal Zerg. So Kerrigan's got to go down there. She's got to kill herself some Primal Zerg and quote-unquote remake herself. So this is where we are with the very first mission, which is called Waking the Ancient. Kyle, as you said, Zeratul said, you have to go. The first thing you need to do is you need to go and wake this ancient creature.
Yeah, so we got a giant Primal Zerg. Giant because he has lived so damn long. And as giant ancient things often do, he's asleep. And this is a lot like the Protoss, or the... Gosh, I don't remember the mission name.
Terran mission where you have
exactly.
to harvest Vespian gas. Yes, I thought it was very similar as well, except not nearly as hard.
No, that one was stupid hard. But then again, we were harvesting like ancient drug gas, which was awesome for Tash for some reason. This we're just gathering some meat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're feeding the ancient Primal Zerg, waking him up. And, of course, tick off the Primal Zerg in the process.
Yep, one particular named Drac, who wants to break our bones. No soul crushing, no, he just wants to eat you.
Yeah, they're pretty one-dimensional in that respect. There's nothing really that fascinating about any of these guys. They're just like, me big, me angry, me eat you. Rah, rah, rah.
Me want your essence.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Every time you say break their bones, Kyle, I can't help but think of the Orc quote from Warcraft 3. Break their bones!
Blood and thunder.
Anyways, another really interesting key player that we never really see the face of, but is mentioned, is Amon. We got a clip about that.
Yeah, this is...
Swarm bears the mark of Amon, the fallen Zarnada, who came to Zerus long ago. He forged the Zerg into a weapon and took them away. Yet, some of us were hidden, overlooked. We multiplied. We remain pure. If you seek our power, you must become Primal Zerg. You must become pure.
So, Amon, a name we've really never heard before.
No, we had the dark voice in Wings of Liberty, but that's all he was known as.
Yeah,
right. And
was kind of like pulling a lot of lore like out of nothing. Not in a bad way either. They're just kind of really explaining a lot of stuff that just was not explained at all.
Previously, right. The dark voice was just a hybrid, though, that escaped.
Well, the dark voice was the one saying you're all doomed in the final mission for the Protoss, which was the future. So I can assume anyway, or I assume that was Amon coming back.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay. Yeah, no, you're...
with his hybrid army. Because he clearly flew down here, and they even say that he was a rogue of sorts of the Xel'Naga. Flew down here, weaponized the Zerg, and left with everything he could find, leaving some of them behind, one of them being this ancient Primal Zerg. And I must say, I am fascinated by watching this guy's lips move. I mean, I was fascinated by the bad guy for Diablo 3. What was his name? I know,
the big fat dude.
Nipple clamps, yeah, But this guy's mouth with his big old spine, his ooh. Every time he makes an ooh noise, I just love it.
Yeah, it is fun to watch.
Yeah,
and if you ever have teeth for lips, they're fun to watch.
He's also the size of a mountain, so that always helps.
It makes you wonder, okay, Amon missed this guy, way back in the ancient times, So, was he even that cool back then, or was he like Wimpy McNobody? And all the other Zerg, they were at the beach playing around, and they're just like, "Hey, let's bury Wimpy McNobody up to his neck, and just leave him there." And then all of a sudden, Amon just shows up and be like, "Hey, all you muscle guys, want to go down to my juice shack?" And they all leave him, and Wimpy McNobody's just like, "Hey guys, hey, guess I'll just go to sleep for a while."
Oh man, I got left here with all the women and the essence.
Yeah, and of course, being Wimpy McNobody, he falls asleep with his mouth wide open. And several billion years later, he's got the world's worst case of dry mouth and a big hankering for meat. And that brings us to today.
Okay.
Well said.
That's special. How do
That's
I
why he
move
talks
on
so
from
raspy.
that?
It's got to be. He's been sleeping with his mouth open for like ever.
And also,
That's true.
what-
He does kind of have a. He does kind of have a treatant thing kind of going.
well, how would you
I'm
sound?
so ancient.
if-
I don't really care about your time.
what would your voice sound like if you were the size of a mountain? It'd be pretty damn deep. It wouldn't be some high pitched thing.
Well,
Well,
I'm not saying it has to be high pitched. He's just got raspy. He's just like, he even sounds like a big fat guy that's just been sitting around the whole time.
All right, we spent too much
Yeah,
time
well,
on
you,
this. This has gone on
Yeah,
too
no.
long.
Blizzard loves their echoes for large creatures, and they do it right. An example of this done wrong is Pirates of the Caribbean Dark Water, where the woman turns into a pile of crabs and goes, ah!
Oh man, why'd you have to remind me of that?
I know, it was cringeworthy.
I
At
really
any rate,
enjoy the
for
third movie. Other than that,
But for our next quote here, we head back to the Leviathan.
after
head down to
gathering some
Avatar.
primal essence.
Yes, and Avathar's not too pleased.
No, he's not.
Saw ranged primal Zerg creatures on battlefield. Based on Hydralisk, primal Zerg stole design from Swarm. Swarm on planet for hours, days, already being replicated.
Oh, it's great. It's just he's like offended, or he feels like he's been shown up. Like, oh, I can't do this.
It was like copyright infringement, I think, is what was really ticking him off. Be like, I worked hard on that. And they just straight up steal it.
Well, and I appreciate it, certainly, because you get down there and you do see Hydralisk, and you're like, oh, I kind of wanted to see some new things. And then you have really crazy, super pink and orange spined roaches, which are wacky beyond belief. You've got Ultralisk, but they kind of have like stick arms, and they work as hives for some reason. But the best part has to be the Guardians that come flying in, because they're no longer in Wings of Liberty. They're the old model left on the planet to die.
Yeah, they should be, because they're a terrible, terrible creature design.
They're not pretty.
Giant flying crabs.
Yep. Does not
That's-
evoke powerful
When you said
emotions.
terrible, I wasn't sure what you were talking about because I didn't remember the Guardians. And I just thought, what's the worst one there? Oh, it was that giant flying crab. And I was right.
Yep, yeah, indeed you were. Anyways, on to the next mission, the Crucible. Basically, the Ancient, tells Kerrigan, you got to go to the first spawning pool. It's basically a primordial ooze on the planet of Xeris, and we've got a clip for that as well. There's a clip for that.
It's a pool.
The first spawning pool. It existed before names. From this primordial place, the Zerg arose.
So, Kyle, you being the resident, I go to sleep with the plush Zergling person on all of my shows. How bad were your nerd chills upon hearing the first spawning pool?
It was pretty exciting. It was nasty looking. I can't say I would climb inside of it, but the idea of all these little molecules swimming around and one consuming the other till the strong evolve. And there's even this really cool little graphic they do of a skeleton forming in the air and then the flesh forming over that.
Yeah, really cool looking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really, I guess, the logical conclusion for how the Zerg would come about in the first place is just like their evolution and survival of the fittest takes place on like this cellular level. So even in their Garden of Ooze where they first start up, it was like the cells, survival of the fittest there until they finally came together as the Zerg. And then the second Zerg, which then ate the first Zerg, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Imagine if Spartans were like this on a cellular level. Instead of just casting deformed children off a cliff, they casted deformed cells out of their body. It's just, I don't know, it evocated that thought in my mind. But this is a big turning point for the story in Heart of the Swarm. Basically, Kerrigan's like, oh, right, you told me to do it, and waltzes right out into the middle of this spawning pool and becomes cocooned. She's now in a new chrysalis. And onward with the defend for 30-minute mission. I love these. Every real-time strategy game, I do a little fist bump when there's a 30-minute defend mission.
Sure, and this one had a very cool visualization to it. Very often in these games, it's defend for 30 minutes, and until minute 15, you're kind of bored out of your mind. Sitting there, well, you're building up, you're getting everything ready, but you don't really know what's coming. Here in this one, they've added this idea of all the warring primal leaders are sending their troops to kill you, and along the way, they are meeting each other. So you are watching a battle at the bottom of your screen take place, and as it ebb and flows back and forth, you're seeing who's going to invade you.
Yeah, it's really cool because they kind of break off and end up going up your ramp. And this is, of course, the Swarm Host mission, right?
Yes.
Yes, so they come in big time handy here because there's stationary defense.
Right. Well, there's even a side mission that comes up where you have to penetrate through their battle and get down and collect some essence hidden below.
Yeah, the Tyrannosaur or whatever they called it. That was, I don't know, it felt like it would have been harder if you had actually had to go in there and pick it up physically, like with a ground unit. With me, I'm just like, Mutalisks, all 40 of you, just go kick his butt from the air. No problem.
I did it with like 20 Mutalisks and a massive pack of Zerglings for some ground support. Yeah, it wasn't that hard.
Man, you guys completely ignored the unit-specific mission, as it were, and going, oh, Swarm Host. I got Swarm Host. Well, Swarm Host time.
Yeah, no, that would have been the worst choice possible to do that. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
In the end, it absolutely was, but I had lots and lots of Swarm Hosts for this. And they don't hide yet in the campaign. They just kind of sit there on top of the ground spawning, which is kind of shocking after being in the beta for a while.
Yeah, they're not cloaked. They can be attacked without any type of detector.
Now, you do have an ability. The original spawning pool can spawn a horde of locusts to defend you every few minutes.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Very handy.
You just spawn this massive cloud of locusts, of flying locusts. It's awesome. So, anyway, that's about all I think we could say about the mission, but from a story aspect, once you complete it, we get to see the fruits of our labor in the opening of Kerrigan's Chrysalis, and, well, here it is. So, Kerrigan is back to being a carapace-covered hottie.
And I love the music. First of all, that she makes a storm that can be seen from space. But second of all, that these drums start up and it kind of shows all the Zergs screaming and kind of like, again, like the Spartans in the wind with the ships crashing. Yeah! And the idea of them playing the drums just came into my head. Yeah! Kerrigan's back. But this scene is very reminiscent of what I assume it would have looked like in the original Defend the Chrysalis mission. And you got to wonder, along the way, did they say, well, we're going to purify Kerrigan, so we're going to go back to being the Queen of Blades. But, we did that one. We did do Gettysburg. That was real cool to see in high graphics. What if we did the releasing of Kerrigan from the original Chrysalis? Well, why don't we just take those two damn ideas and smack them together and make it part of the main story?
I doubt
So
that.
you've got yourself a game.
I doubt that was the only reason they did this, because this does seem to work into the lore pretty damn well.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, there's nothing unique about what you see.
Yeah, true. But it's epic, it's badass, and she's once more importantly, let's get into the lore now. She's the Queen of Blades again, but she is completely of sound mind. She's under 110% control of herself.
Yeah.
Like I was a little disappointed that she just decided to be Queen of Blades again, especially after she was like, I didn't really like your design with Abathur, and then she's just like, well, you know what? I can't think of anything better. And,
well, he did a good job. I mean, it was perfect, I guess.
I'm not sure she had a whole lot of say in what the outcome was.
I guess, but I mean, yes, she's a cool design. I just maybe give some flesh in between her bone wings to make them look like they do stuff. Whatever. It's iconic, so might as well not mess with it, I guess.
Yeah, the idea of, well, later on, people that know her showing up looking like the Queen of Blades, and you got to go like, wait, are you Kerrigan? Oh, you look cooler than you did before.
Digs up Tychus.
Now they did.
Oh, you're
They did give her these like shimmering parts of her body. I mean, it's like her psi energy, but it's built into her now. Not only her eyes glowing, but parts all over her body shimmer in the dark.
I think it's amplifying her what's already strong about her.
Yeah.
So. She's a little more purple this time too, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, she was always kind of had that kind of purplish reddish hue when she was Queen of Blades. But yeah, now because of the glowing, like almost pink where it's glowing, it makes everything else look a little more purple by comparison.
Well, and we have the big difference, which is her eye color. When she was infested and when she was using previous infested powers, her eyes were glowing yellow. Now that she's pure, her eyes glow, well, purple all the time. And when she's really having at it, they're full purple.
And she has more human-looking eyes now. Before too, when she was the original Queen of Blades, like if you go back and watch the cinematic where she fights Zeratul in Wings of Liberty, she has pretty dead eyes. There's not like a traditional. There's not a traditional iris and pupil. She, I'm sure by design, has much more human eyes now. So you need to make her relatable. So there you go. Plus, she's not technically evil anymore.
Well, she goes back to the ship, starts talking with the Ancient, saying, man, I feel so powerful, I could rip a world in twain. And the Ancient has the following to say.
Yeah.
Amon must have died before I was infested.
I hope it is so, for he truly could rip worlds apart.
So the Ancient is afraid of Amon. It's very evident there. And Kerrigan's very cocky, which is also evident there.
Yeah. But she's got every reason to be. I mean, she was already, like, feared across the galaxy before, and now she's in control of her junk and much more powerful than before.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, after the cinema, everybody's just like, whoa. Even when she comes into her ship room, everybody's just like, backing up like, man, okay, don't mess with that. I don't even know if I want to, be nice to her because she might just kill me by looking at me. At that point, you really don't get the same feeling that you did in Wings of Liberty, where it's just like, what are we doing? How are we going to survive? How are we going to get at Manx? At this point, you're just like, all right, hang on, because this is just going straight to where she wants to go. It's just going to be like her path of destruction to Manx.
But I do wonder, when you're sporting a hive mind and you walk into your ship and it's full of Zerglings who kind of do like a quiver, some give like a victory scream and a bow, is she telling them to do that? Because then it doesn't really count.
Good point.
I would say no. She doesn't strike me as someone who is that vain. But hey, if it was you, Kyle, then yeah, probably would be. Come on, Kyle. If you had that power, you'd be like, yes, bow. This is wonderful.
Oh,
Is that
exactly. I mean,
just
I'd
kind of
ride
like
home.
typing /dance in multiplayer?
Exactly.
Wow.
Oh, that's great. Someone pull the female Protoss out so she can see. Oh, she's dead. Anyways, this leads into what I think is my favorite mission of the entire game, the final mission we'll be talking about today, which is entitled simply Supreme, because you are a supreme being. So we're the Queen of Blades now, and we're still on Xeris. So what do we do with our new powers? We go kick the living crap out of all the other Primal Zerg leaders of the different warring tribes that tried to break into our chrysalis and kill us. Because,
Yes.
well, you have to
Not
do
even
it.
like, this is the rest of the campaign. We're going to wipe out the rest of our, guys who are against us. Nope. This is in one mission. She's just going to go knock some heads, like, of all these different leaders. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's how BA she is.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, man, are we ever going to get to Manx? And it's like, oh, no, I'm killing them all in one. Damn, Blizzard, you got plans.
Well, and it really shows, it really shows the plans, like you just said, and the simplification that they must have gone through while making this story. Because you can totally see the first boss, Yagdra. We were in the past hearing about multiple kinds of Nidus worms. And this guy is clearly the model that was the Hydra-headed Nidus worm that was going to spit acid everywhere and attack units instead of spitting forth units. And you could think, okay, well, you have to fight this guy, you got to build a base, you got to go get him, you have to defeat him. Mission 1. Mission 2, go up against Cathra, and you got to defeat him with all his spines. And they just went, nope, 3 boss battles, let's do it, 1 mission. And each was pretty unique, though definitely had quite a bit of ties to Diablo, it felt.
Oh, big time.
But like a top-down WoW dungeon, really, by yourself. Some trash pulls in between bosses and bada bing.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. And I would also... Would you guys agree that the final boss kind of outshines the other two? The swarm host that spawns frickin' banelings out of its back? I was kind of like, oh my god, I need it. How do I get that?
Yeah, he was massive. Sliven, I think was how you pronounce his name. By this point, I had figured out Kerrigan and her new abilities, because you are the Queen of Blades now. You, for this mission anyway, lose your one target mega damage, your pick everyone up in the air and choke them ability. Instead, you are replaced with a power leap and a dash through. That does pretty massive damage.
The dash.
And your energy regen is just huge. So you can be using these abilities every few seconds. But I didn't know this. And being in Brutal, I get in and I'm like kind of tentatively clicking my abilities and I'm dying left and right to this first guy. And you basically just need to use every ability the second it becomes available and just dash back and forth like 3 times. He spawns or spits out a bunch of primal spawn and you just dash 1, 2, 3 through them and they're dead.
Yeah. It was a fun damn mission. And then once we defeat the 3 different Primal Zerg, we are kind of met with the behind. We're stabbed in the back by the Ancient is what I'm trying to say, and I can't eloquently say it. So the Ancient basically reveals himself. Hey, I just wanted you to get strong, and then I was going to assimilate you and just get all of the power. So we have this one massive, which really, really reminded me of Diablo boss fight.
Oh, certainly. When you're going up against Belial.
I was just about to say,
Lies.
this is reminding me so much of the Belial fight. In a good way. It's
But,
not a bad
like,
thing.
even-
Belial's a fun fight.
Like, I think it really highlighted what they want the mentality of Zerg to be there. And like his betrayal wasn't even anything like personal where he's all like, meh. It was like an imperative for him at this point to have to try and take her essence, because she was something that was like a rival to him, and that's just how the primal Zerg work.
When it was understood, she was kind of like, oh, I knew you were going to do this. And he's like, I know, I need more powerful things. There's nothing around here that interests me. And you show up, and I've got to try to kill you.
Yeah.
It's just my nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
All his tentacles come up out of the ground, and you have a small force of Primal Zerg, which in Brutal just get completely obliterated in the first 5 seconds. But there is a corner in each of the sides, in the very centers of the sea, in the tops of the sea, On both sides, you can hide a single Hydralisk there. And that was why I won. 2 Hydralisks on each side, hidden from the slams, while I dodged as best I could.
Would you just have them on hold position? They were just kind of pinging him?
Yep, exactly.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. And I'm playing through right now on a harder difficulty. I'll have to try that.
Now,
So
when it comes
basically,
time
it's
for him to
whack-a-mole and you're the mole.
Yeah. When it comes time for him to start breathing energy, those Hydralisks are dead, and you just got to do what you can to survive.
Yeah. Have we even discussed Dahaka yet? The character Dahaka?
No, but Dahaka. Yeah. So Dahaka, during this, realizing that you're changing how things work on Xeris,
well, I don't even think we
shows up.
Because he comes in, I believe, in a mission or two into this. Not right at. I don't think he comes in at the very end.
No, he comes in at Reborn here, right before you do Supreme.
Okay, so
and
I just completely forgot about him. He's not crazy important, but he's a new addition to your Leviathan, kind of your posse, if you will.
Yeah, and as you finish Supreme, we do have a quote from him saying what he has to say to join you on your mission.
Yeah, I love this one-armed guy.
You shine. You will bring more essence, and I will follow. When you do not, I will not.
Well, I forged alliances on shakier ground than that.
There's so many great one-liners. But
this guy's. I think this is actually Steve Bloom again.
Yep.
He's just
Same
not
guy as
credited in
Avatar.
IMDb, but it's like, oh my god, his voice is just so gravelly. I mean, he's like gargling nacho cheese while he's doing this voice. It's just so blah 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 blah.
yeah, indeed. So I love his
In Walking
he's
with Ancients. In the mission with Walking with Ancients, you can actually find, before you meet Dahaka, you can find his right arm as an Easter egg hidden on the right side of the map.
Yep, and it says still bleeding profusely if you click on it. It's such a wonderful Easter egg because he's missing an arm if you're not familiar with the character.
So I didn't find that, but I did think like maybe that was during the Waking the Ancient one, not the Crucible. As you're walking around and you reveal parts of the map, you'll notice like a big blue thing that just runs the heck away and burrows real quick, and you like mouse over to just says "Strange Creature." And I'm pretty sure that was just Dahaka just like running away and watching you the entire time.
Huh. And on one of the Kaldir missions, Arthas is frozen into the side of a cliff.
Awesome.
On one of the cliffs.
How do I miss this stuff?
There's just a whole Lich King just like like stuck in the cliff. It's pretty cool. I think you have to tweak your camera to see it, but
Dahaka gives a really cool extra bit to the Zerg because it shows the scavenger, the sneaky fornicator, if you will.
Sneaky fornicator or forager?
No, fornicator. Because in like Seal Society, they did a Futurama about it, but it happens in all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Cuttlefish do this as well. So you have big, strong, manly cuttlefish gets all the ladies, but then and he protects his ladies. But then you have cuttlefish that pretend to be ladies to sneak in behind the buff man and get with the ladies, as it were.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he's our scavenger, and it's real cool to have him join the Zerg swarm.
Again,
Yeah. And like in a way, it's interesting because he's like a progressive primal Zerg. Like all the other ones were totally against the Zerg coming in because they're not primal, they're not pure, and he's just like, I don't care about that. I just care about my own evolution and building my own stuff. And yeah, he's totally like the progressive primal Zerg that's evolving even beyond what the primal Zerg were typically evolving into, like social-wise.
Well, and he's got the brain for it. He clearly sees this is a spaceship out there. There's got to be tons of essence for me to assimilate. So why not join forces? At some point, I'm very excited to see what can happen with this character. I'm kind of hoping that he assimilates the wrong thing come Legacy of the Void. He takes a bite of something he shouldn't have and becomes evil.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Eviler.
Yeah, he's already kind of a seedy character, but
Yeah.
Anyways, so anyway, that brings us to the end of Zerus. We're off to Char after this. We're going to be talking about that next week. Also, don't forget you can write in into the show. We'd like to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on the story. The email is campaignroundtable@gmail.com. So, any closing comments, Kyle, Mike?
No, I don't think I got anything.
No, thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first listen, we did do the previous 2 worlds on the past episode, and it's real excited to see how this show is coming together. We're getting into it. We're only at week 2, but we're already starting to feel in the flow, and I'm super excited to continue.
Yeah, it's fun.
Exactly what he said.
I'm actually stoked to do something not StarCraft. Not that I'm not enjoying
sure.
StarCraft. I'm like I get to do a show that doesn't involve the Blizzard product. Yay! But of course, we got to kick it off with the Blizzard product. Anyways, if you want to help the show for free, leave us a review on iTunes. If you're listening to the show, if you're enjoying it, it is the best way to help us reach new listeners. We already got a few. Big thanks to Azure Dozer, who said, great show, and Discorax, who said, finally! So, thanks to him. The Campaign Roundtable is a production of amove.tv. amove.tv/Campaign Roundtable is our site, and you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or catch the VODs on youtube.com/amove network. Catch us live every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern on amove.tv/live. And email us, like I said, campaignroundtable@gmail.com. Send any questions, comments, or MP3 or video attachments to join in on the conversation. And you can follow us on Twitter as well at CRT Show. You can follow me at Garrett Art, follow Kyle at Kyle Ferguson, and Mike at MSD Artist. So go do that. Get on the Twitter. Tell us what you think or how much we smell funny, even though you can't smell us through audio and video. Check out my website, No Moon
They have
Art.
those Protoss noses.
Check out my website, nomoonart.com, if you need anything designed. I did all the graphics for today's show and pretty much everything else on AMove TV. And big thanks to our sponsors, DogHouseSystems.com. Our code is CRT. It'll get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. And that's not all you get. You also get an amazing gaming rig when you buy through them, and the best customer service to boot. So we thank them for their support of this brand spanking new show. So, anyways, guys, we'll see you next week with Episode 3, Heart of the Swarm, Part 3, where we'll be tackling Char. See you then.
Take care.
Yay, it's a show. Thanks, chat room.